Welcome to this incredibly vibrant explainer. Today, we are taking a high-energy, totally no-nonsense approach to dismantling all that corporate jargon that completely plagues our boardrooms. We're pulling directly from Richard Rumelt's groundbreaking work, and we are going to focus right in on the foundational concepts he lays out in just the first chapter of his book. We are keeping things highly colorful, purely educational, and super interactive today, because we want this to be immediately applicable to how you view your own daily work. Okay, let's dive right into this. Are you confusing ambition with strategy? I know, it's a pretty provocative question, right? But I really want to challenge your preconceived notions straight out of the gate here. Think about how your own organization actually operates on a day-to-day basis. Think about the very last all-hands meeting you sat through. Were you handed a comprehensive, step-by-step plan of action to overcome a specific, difficult obstacle? Or were you handed this shiny list of financial goals, visionary statements, and, motivational slogans? Because as we're about to see, one of those things is an actual strategy, and the other is literally just a wish list. Section 1, the strategy illusion. We really need to clear the deck here and expose what strategy is absolutely not. Rumelt shares this hilarious, but honestly deeply painful observation of your classic corporate strategy retreat. So picture this. You've got 200 upper-level managers gathered in some lavish hotel ballroom. The CEO struts up on stage. They present this incredibly grand vision to be the most respected company in their entire field. There's this specially produced video playing with dramatic, sweeping music. They start announcing these massive strategic goals like global leadership, exponential growth, high shareholder returns. They even do these little breakout sessions to get buy-in, right? And they cap the whole shebang off by releasing a giant net of colorful balloons. But here is the absolute kicker. There was zero actual strategy involved. High-sounding goals without a coordinated plan of action to actually overcome your obstacles are just a really dangerous illusion. And this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast between good and bad strategy. Bad strategy is built entirely on ambition, empty slogans, fluff, and this totally unearned belief that just pushing harder is somehow a plan. I mean, look at Lehman Brothers right before the 2008 crash. Their big strategy was essentially just to gain market share by scooping up all the incredibly risky deals that everyone else was rejecting. They literally just called it increasing their risk appetite. And they were operating with only 3% equity. Simply being super ambitious and taking on wild risks, that is not a strategy. Good strategy, on the other hand, is firmly grounded in problem-solving, decisive action, and total coherence. Section 2. Defining true strategy. So if we know exactly what the illusion looks like, what's the reality?
Cutting right through all that corporate fluff, Rumelt gives us a really precise, actionable standard. Strategy is a cohesive response to an important challenge. It requires discovering the critical factors in a situation and then designing a way to coordinate and focus your actions to actually deal with those factors. It's not the end goal. It is the thoughtful, highly coordinated journey to get there. It means doing the really hard work of diagnosing the disease before you ever try to prescribe the cure.
A good strategy honestly acknowledges the challenges being faced and provides an approach to overcoming them. Notice that word, honestly. True strategy acts as a realistic, hard-nosed bridge over real-world obstacles. Seriously, if your strategic plan doesn't explicitly mention the biggest problems, the massive roadblocks, or the fierce competitive threats your organization is facing, well, it just isn't a strategy. It's basically a motivational poster. Section 3. Good strategy is unexpected. This brings us to a really fascinating theme about the element of surprise. Consider General Norman Schwarzkopf's strategy during Desert Storm. It was a pure, incredibly focused envelopment maneuver, basically a classic left hook. He concentrated his forces and swung them completely around the enemy's flank. It was devastatingly effective, utilizing this highly coordinated, focused action in space to create massive leverage right against the opponent's main weakness. But here is the real puzzle, and I want you to really think about this for a second. Why was this pure and focused strategy such a massive surprise to everyone, including the media and the enemy? It wasn't some top-secret new technology. Envelopment is a standard military offensive doctrine. It is literally in the textbooks. So why on earth did a classic, textbook move catch the entire world off guard? Well, the answer reveals a pretty uncomfortable truth about how the world actually works. Most complex organizations simply lack the courage to concentrate their resources. Instead, they spend all their time spreading them out as thinly as possible. They act to placate every single internal department and external interest. They actively avoid making the hard choices, and instead they just generate these massive laundry lists of desired outcomes. So when an organization like the US Army or a company like Apple actually focuses its actions on one cohesive point, it completely shocks everyone. Good strategy is unexpected simply because genuine focus is incredibly rare.
Section 4. The power of focus. This shifts us perfectly into our final section for this explainer. Let's see how all of this builds together. Rumelt heavily criticizes what he calls the dog's dinner approach to bad strategy. This is when an organization tries to just do everything all at once. They've got conflicting goals, they dedicate precious resources to entirely unconnected targets, they bend over backwards trying to accommodate completely incompatible interests just to keep everyone in the boardroom happy. And as a result, they fail to coordinate any real competence whatsoever. Having conflicting goals might be a luxury of the rich and powerful, but it makes for absolutely terrible strategy. It completely dilutes your power. Which leads us to the ultimate mic drop moment of this explainer. Strategy is at least as much about what an organization does not do as it is about what it does. Just think about the immense, transformative power of actively saying no. If you cannot point to a really lucrative opportunity, a beloved pet project, or a loud internal interest that you have actively decided not to pursue in the name of your strategy, then you probably don't have a strategy at all. You just have a list of things you'd kind of like to happen. Strategy is scarcity's child, guys. It demands choice. So I'm going to conclude this explainer by turning the focus right back to you and your organization. Take a hard look at the strategic plan sitting on your desk right now. Is it a true strategy? Does it diagnose a real thorny challenge, define a guiding policy, and outline coherent, focused actions to actually overcome that challenge? Or is it just a laundry list of high-sounding goals accompanied by some colorful balloons? It's a provocative question for sure, but it's exactly the kind of rethinking that leads to a true paradigm shift. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today, and I really hope this helps you cut through the fluff and discover the real power of good strategy.